All right, everyone, welcome back to the Heart to Heart podcast. My name is Hafiz, and this is the first ever monologue. And what I'm going to be doing in these monologue and this series of monologues is I'm going to be coming up with either a topic that personally affects me or something I've really been thinking about, and then do a bit of research on it to try and figure out the different perspectives to different things or an answer, something that could help us basically. So you don't have to do it, right? I got you covered there. So yeah, today's topic is about something that I've actually had a discussion with someone about recently, and it's about happiness and what is happiness. Now, this is a very, very deep topic, but I'm gonna be focusing more on the, I guess, the general aspect of it, and some tips to adjust things as needed mentally. You'll get what I'm saying as we get into it. But for now, without further ado, let's jump right in.
Hey yo, you ready?
Please don't make this complicated. What about the time we wasted on our love? I can't keep the things we traded.
All right, so when we talk about happiness, there are a lot of different angles that this could be approached from. But the one I want to talk about today is the mental aspect of things. So I want to ask you a question, and I've asked myself this, but I'm here to ask you the question right now. Think about something that you don't have that you really want. So for me personally, the answer I thought of was a car, like a really nice car, right? And you might think maybe you're unhappy because you don't have it, but that's not true. What's really happening is you're unhappy because of the thought of not having it. That's what it is. And here's how you can figure out if that's the case. Ask yourself, have you ever been happy while not having it? And if you didn't have it but didn't care, would you be unhappy? I have another question for you. If you still didn't have it, all right, but you were doing something that kept you from thinking about it, let's just say riding a roller coaster, right? Would you still be unhappy then? If you answered that you would not be unhappy to any of these questions, then it is something that is coming from your mind. That's definitely something um, to keep in mind. So not having what you want is not what makes you feel bad. It's thinking about it that does. So most of the time, it's our thoughts that create the emotions, and sometimes, like our uncensored mind, it picks up cues from the environment, that trigger emotions. For instance, like reading someone's body language or facial expression, or if your mind senses danger, that's another example where it would automatically trigger fear, right? And those are automatic emotional responses. However, most of our emotional responses is not the outside world or the situation. It filters through our personal interpretation and then causes the emotional reaction. Let me hit you up with a term or a concept that's often used in psychology, and it's called the hedonic adaptation. Basically, what it is it's the observed tendency of humans to quickly return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite major positive or negative events or life changes. Well, what does this mean? Well, what it's suggesting is that, let's say, for instance, you start making, let's say you used to make $50,000 a year, and now you make $100,000 a year. What's going to end up happening is, because you make more money, more expectations going to be on you, and so you're gonna, and your desires are also gonna, you know they're gonna increase in terms of what you want, right? You're gonna start desiring more things. So your overall standard of living will increase, and because of that, you're not gonna see any permanent gain in happiness. It's all gonna level up in the end. So there's a type of therapy called the cognitive behavioral therapy, right? And this is based off of certain specific principles, right? So for instance, it believes that psychological problems are based in part on faulty or unhelpful ways of thinking. It also believes that psychological problems are based in part on learned patterns of unhelpful behavior. And it also suggests that people suffering from psychological problems can learn better ways of coping with them, thereby relieving their symptoms and becoming more effective in their lives. So, what are some tips, that you could use that's very common in the cognitive behavioral therapy, the CBT? Well, I have two tips for you as to what you could do in terms of changing your thinking. Sorry, in terms of changing your emotions that are derived from your thinking. Firstly, when you start thinking about something that you don't want to think about, or something that, um, if you realize that you're experiencing, an emotion that you don't want, and you identify that thinking about it is the cause of those emotions, change the subject. Focus on something else. Let me give you an example. If, let's say, you're talking about you're having a conversation with a friend, right? And it ends up being a very uncomfortable conversation for you. What do? You switch up the conversation and you feel a lot better. It's the exact same thing. Focusing on the positive things will make you feel better. So what you need to do is turn your focus away from that negative thought and start thinking about something positive. Now, there will be situations where those thoughts just don't go away, like it's just in your head and it's just going away. So what I would suggest, or what you would do at that stage, is add a positive spin to that perspective. That's the key right there. Everything could have a positive spin to it. Literally every single thing. And so what you need to do in that situation is to add a positive spin to that specific situation, and that should help with altering perspectives, which is important. Speaking of perspectives, the second thing that you could do is just change the way you look at things. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change, right? In a scenario where two people are in the exact same situation, the way you approach things, or the way you look at things, or your situation as well, right, could significantly change the experience. For instance, you're on a roller coaster. You and a friend are on a roller coaster. You love that roller coaster. You love the ups and downs and the waiting at the high moment. You enjoy it. You really really do. But your friend hates roller coasters, right? They're feeling sick to their stomach, and you're just out here fully excited. When you come out that ride, when you come out that roller coaster ride, you think you're both are gonna have the same opinion or perspective on roller coasters? Absolutely not. You're gonna have different perspectives, which is exactly why that same one thing, or that same one situation, could yield two different responses, or two different reactions, or two different experiences. That one same thing. So the key is to always add a positive spin to it, and adjust your mind so that it always looks for the good. Always. So I do want to hear what your perspectives on all of this is, your opinion. If you have any other suggestions, if you have any questions about anything, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any comment, anything at all, I'd love to hear from you on any platform at all. Feel free to also message me if you'd like to further the conversation or anything along the lines of that. And with that being said, I'm going to end that right here. Thank you so much for listening, and see you in a week's time. Take care.